Hey everyone, welcome back to Examkrackers Coffee Talk. This is Megan, Galvin. Nice to see you guys again. We have a very special guest who's joining us actually from, she was in Pittsburgh, but now she's in the fabulous Philadelphia. This is Julia. Not only was she a former student and just recently graduated from University of Pittsburgh, she also was one of our senior instructors in the Pittsburgh area. So those of you that just finished up a course with us, Julia was one of your instructors. So I thought it would be interesting just to have a little bit of a chat. I wanted to, because Julia's so recently gone through this whole process, I wanted to pick her brain a little bit because I'm sure a lot of you can identify with her and kind of hear her perspective. And maybe that'll be, the thought process or maybe the information you need that's really going to help determine what you need to do to be successful on your MCAT, which is obviously the goal of what we do here at Coffee Talk, just to kind of share some different perspective. So Julia, in your thoughts, what do you think makes Examkrackers successful?
As like an undergrad student who had just done a lot of the prereqs, I didn't really want books that were super heavy. And I loved how Examkrackers was concise and had color and had pictures. So it really helped keep your attention on track. And I like that it wasn't too much reading, given that I still had classes going on and everything. So it was kind of difficult to balance reading a lot of prep material and studying for my normal classes. I also liked the fact that doing the course gave me structure, because I know otherwise I would have ended up prioritizing school, which I still did, but having to show up in class twice a week definitely helped keep me on track, and definitely having the lectures helped a lot.
Very good. Okay, excellent. And why do you personally think you did well? I've no doubt in my mind a lot of this was a huge kind of, well, it was probably a combination of things, but I have no doubt in my mind that it was definitely, your knowledge, your determination, and certainly, really being a solid student, having a super strong foundation, which is well-deserved. You worked super hard for that. But why do you think you did well? Do you think it was, sticking to a schedule? Do you think it was integrating in your practice exams? Was it focusing on your weak area and doing something about it? What are your thoughts?
So I think with Examkrackers, there's a lot of good practice. Even within the lecture itself, the chapter, there's test your knowledge questions, and I like those because they're very reflective of the standalone questions that you'll get on the real exam. I know that when I was reviewing one of the bio books, I actually came across a question that showed up on my actual exam, and it was such a relief because I knew that I'd struggled with it when reading through, and so going over that question and that material definitely paid off. And then I also liked how at the end of every lecture there was a 30-minute exam, and if you got the timing and if you understood how to do those questions, you were in great shape with the timing on the real exam. So everything that the course does and the books have kind of really prepares you well for knowing the timing and material. And then on top of that, reviewing the exams is pretty, it's a pretty good process. I really spent a lot of time reviewing the exams. And I thoroughly did it, and I think that paid off a lot because it really forced me not only to learn material, but also to look at my pattern of logic and kind of figure out where I was going wrong with certain types of questions, because it was kind of a pattern of which question types, research-based questions, that would be tough for me. So learning how to tackle those was really important.
Good. And did you take your practice exams on time, or were you a hoarder? How did you handle that? Did you try and do it every
like I said, I kind of wasn't the best with juggling school and a course. It definitely helped me to go to lecture and have the instructors, keep me on track with at least doing the in-class exams and reviewing those then. But I did want to kind of devote a month of time, because kind of ends early. We end at the end of April normally, so I knew that if I was testing in June, I'd have a month. So I did for several of the exams.
All good. I appreciate your honesty. So awesome, really good. And that happens, from time to time. But I think one of the key things, at least I heard Julia say, was that she definitely recognized and did something about her weak spot. So I don't know if I typically will recommend to my students to keep a running log or a notebook.
Yeah, I always suggest keeping a notebook, and that's how I did mine because I found that it was kind of annoying or tricky to have multiple browsers open, one with a Word document and one with the exam. So I like having it in a notebook, and then also after you power down your devices or if you're on a bus, you can kind of whip out your notebook and kind of read through your review notes. So I like that. I did take a few of the exams during the course, and I do think it helps a lot with building up your stamina because most of the exam is taking it in the 7 hours that you have exactly how you would when you do go in for the actual exams, waking up early, chugging your coffee, getting used to that is also really important. So I always tell my students that just take the exam even if you don't have all of the material, and don't worry so much about your score because you're gonna have all the content when you're done the course.
Exactly, and in essence, students have the content. They may not have recently reviewed it. Obviously, I certainly don't recommend taking a course. If you're missing, never took physics. Really the best idea to kind of plunge into it since, obviously that is one of the subjects on the MCAT. But yeah, okay. So I think there were definitely, as I said, a couple of key points that Julia brought out. And another one I wanted to just kind of touch on real quickly was knowing yourself and being honest and kind of facing that, as far as something that is, a lot of students don't tend to recognize that, where their weak areas are and, where their trouble spots are. They kind of kid themselves hey, I'm not going to see this on my MCAT. You probably will. Not a good idea to brush it under the carpet. At least have some kind of working knowledge and, spend your ample time doing the review. Doesn't mean you need to be an expert in it. Doesn't mean that you need to know everything under the sun, but I think just a very fluid kind of comfort level with certain content information definitely warrants, reviewing and feeling comfortable with it. So I want to go ahead and wrap up because I'm super proud of you, and I love to kind of follow my students and see where life takes them now. But I'm going to let you tell your story. So why don't you tell us what just happened, what milestone happened in your life, and what's going on in August? Where are you headed?
So at the end of April, I officially committed to Sydney Kimmel Medical College at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. So that's where I will be an incoming medical student this summer. And yeah, I'm really excited and really happy about that. I've been really, really blessed to kind of know where I'm going since October. So having that security in the back of my mind has been such a relief and made my senior year and the whole process of taking the MCAT straight into applying so worth it. So
we're super proud of you. You're definitely one of the few, I have to say, that kind of goes right on through and is very lucky and fortunate to, recently graduate and, turn around 2 months later and be stepping into med school. Again, I think it speaks volumes about really having a plan, mapping out, exactly what you want to do and how you're going to get there. It is absolutely possible. Julia is a phenomenal and an incredibly talented student, so it is very, very well deserved. I'm not going to take any credit away from her, but as I said, you're one of the few that actually has that opportunity since the gap year is so prevalent. So I'm super proud of you, and you should be as well. I hope that you take the next couple of weeks and do some vacationing and do some fun things before things get really hectic and crazy and starting into med school. She will be actually in the Philadelphia market, potentially doing some tutoring and some subbing, and we're going to kind of see how her schedule goes. So if you're in this area or this neck of the woods or this part of the country, potentially Julia might be working with you someday in the future. So so that's pretty much all I have for you, Julia. We want to thank you for coming on to Coffee Talk today with Examkrackers. It's been a real pleasure, and Have an awesome afternoon and enjoy the rest of the summer.
Bye.
Okay. See ya. Bye-bye.